When Araki switched from Hamon to stands, the naming convention used for this new system was tarot cards. But then Araki used all of the main 22 of them for stands, so then he switched to Egyptian gods. But after doing that 9 times, he decided to switch to naming stands after musical artists, songs, and albums. This is something that Araki has done in the past, naming characters through music references like Wham and Straits. Oh wait, people don't like using those names, so like Zeppeli and Santana, with an exception of tenor sax, which isn't really an exception because it's based on an instrument. Yeah, besides that, Araki went into full form by naming JoJo stands after musical references. Almost all stands since Diamond is Unbreakable has done this, except one, that being Awaking 3 Leaves. And so for my first video of the year that isn't a chapter review, I hope to dive into this wormhole that has to do with Awaking 3 Leaves and what its origins can be. And at the end of this video, I think we could say for sure that this exact thing is what Araki is referencing when it comes to the stand. First of all, to understand the stand, we have to understand the character behind it. Mitsuba Higashikata, or by proxy, the entire Higashikata family. They all have a specific naming scheme, but today we will talk about the girls of the family. Each one of them, and Tsurugi, follow a card naming convention. We have Daya as Diamond, because Diamond, Hato as Heart, which is, Heart-o, and Tsurugi as Sword, because that is what sword is in Japanese, otherwise known as the spades. And for those wondering, Kato Higashikata is just card itself, card-o. So for Mitsuba, she follows the clubs, which are also known as clovers. Mitsuba in Japanese is 3 leaves, which is what a clover is. It just has 3 leaves. And now remember that her stand name is Awaking 3 Leaves. No, the I is 3. That's most likely where the 3 leaves part of her stand comes from, which is just a more direct translation of her name, Mitsuba. Now, that is something very strange that Araki hasn't really done before, where a part of the stand name is just the person's name. There have been complete one-to-one versions of this, like Weather Report, Foo Fighters, and Dr. Wu, but again, those are one-to-one translations where the character and the stand have the same name, but we haven't seen something akin to Awaking 3 Leaves ever, where it's just one half of the name. But the 3 leaves part obviously doesn't have to end there. Of course, stands can have multiple meanings for their names, so while it's a good reason to have the Awaking 3 leaves part for now, that doesn't end the discussion of where the 3 leaves part exactly comes from. Also, this is the only thing written for the namesake of Awaking 3 leaves in the JoJo wiki, so just know that everything after this is mainly speculation, and that Mitsuba being the 3 leaves is the only exact thing that we know for sure. So let's get into some songs that people have theorized belong to the stand Awaking 3 Leaves. People like the 11.6% of my audience subscribe to my channel. Now, this one is one of the more obvious sounding ones. Like, yeah, it makes sense for Awaking 3 Leaves to be based on a song called Awaking's Number 3 Leaves Floating on a Slow Stream by James P. Pellerite. But there is some weird stuff about this song that makes it an unlikely contender for Araki to be referencing. So the song is very obscure. Currently, the song only has about 35,000 views on YouTube, which is quite a lot, but compared to the music level that Araki listens to, 35,000 really is nothing. Araki listens to some pretty popular bands and musicians, so something like this is pretty strange, especially when you consider the composer themselves, who is James P. Pellerite. He seems like a pretty cool guy. He's a co-founder of the National Flute Association, which is quite obvious when you consider that all of his songs are just on the flute. The song Awakening's Number 3 Leaves Floating on a Slow Stream is pretty fun. It gives the idea of leaves floating on a slow stream, but then the music gets faster and faster, which imitates the leaves gradually leaving the stream and falling naturally. At least that's what I think. Because there's no information on any of this, like the James P. Pellerite YouTube channel only has 44 subscribers, not even triple digits. In fact, the song itself only had a couple of thousand views when Awaking 3 Leaves was first created back in late 2018 in in jojolion. In no way am I making fun of James P. Pellerite. I mean, I just said that the song he made is pretty fun, but I'm just asking the important question here. Did Araki reference Awakening's number 3 leaves floating on a stream in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I don't think so. The music is just way too obscure for me to think that he did. How would Araki even find this song? That's the question people should be asking. I just don't see a reality where a Japanese man would encounter a song released in 2015 from a composer and just a song that is this random. So all of these weird inconsistencies added together just makes it feel like this isn't what Araki intended to refer to when making up Awaking 3 Leaves. Which means we just have to go to our next song, which is Awaking the Centuries by Haggard. And it's another flute song. Okay. The song is one that some people have speculated could be referencing Awaking 3 Leaves for quite a few years now. And let's give it some credit. It's only a flute song for like the first 20 seconds. And that's because it's a German death metal song. I listened to it and it's a pretty fun listen. And unlike the last song, this one is well known. Like, it's really popular. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people in my Discord server were already aware of the song beforehand. So you should join the Discord server as well, honestly. But yeah, as for the song itself, it has its own Wikipedia page for one. And the song itself is the name of a whole album. The album was released in September of the year 2000, so it's been here for a very long time. Also, the name has Chapter 3 within it. It's not something that I'm too sure of though, since the Chapter 3 thing only appears in some sources, but with Chapter 3 being there and written in Roman numerals, the connection to Awaking 3 Leaves increases here. I'm not entirely sure what the centuries part is equivalent to when it comes to the stand Awaking 3 Leaves, but it could just be that the song has our awakening part. Both the song and Mitsuba have the 3 connection, and then we get the leaves part from Mitsuba herself. The song is honestly really plausible for being the origin of the stand, but there are a few things that do leave a lot to be desired. The name is still a bit too much of a stretch to consider the origin of Awaking 3 Leaves. The fact that the name of the song is Awaking the Centuries and then just so happens to be called Chapter 3 in some sources makes it feel a lot of it could just be a coincidence, especially since Araki must have had the Mitsuba name connection in there for a reason. It just seems like a song that could be the case, but there just feels like there's a bit too many factors to really consider if it's the main song. But it's a really good choice, so it makes sense as to why it's been the main song of discussion for so many years. But the next song, Nostradamus by Judas Priest, is one that I honestly hadn't heard of until I started researching for this video. And I mean, how could I? The album has nothing to do with the name Awaking 3 Leaves. That is, until you look at the songs within it. The third song of the album, the third song, is called Awakening. Right now there really isn't much, but if we look at the Japanese spelling of the song Awakening, it's spelt exactly how the awaking in Awaking 3 Leaves is spelt. It just seems to fit really well here. But the song itself also has a few issues. First of all, the song is like 50 seconds long. Like, what? It's weird because the rest of the album has some pretty long songs as well. Just weird to see that this one is the short one, especially if this song is the one that Araki chose specifically to represent the entire album for his manga with Awaking 3 Leaves. Also, the name of the song is Awakening and not Awaking. I guess you could consider the fact that Araki just made it Awaking in order for the stand to fit the king name that the other Higashikatas have. But this feels like even more of a stretch compared to Awaking the Centuries. That's honestly the main thing. I don't think this song in particular, or the album in general, have anything to warrant Araki making a reference out of it, especially when Araki is making it so cryptic. This means that out of our 3 choices, we do have a few reasons for and against each of the songs. But if I had to choose one, I'd say Awaking the Centuries by Haggard is the most likely. But that's just the thing. It's most likely. There's still some issues that can be found with each one of these songs, which is why I'd honestly say that this could potentially be the first stand since Atom to not have a reference to a song at all, but instead a reference to a character, Mitsuba. the first stand to be a JoJo reference, if you think about it, because it's referencing something in JoJo. I think that it's pretty likely maybe Araki just wanted to do something unique for once, but decided against it because we have seen the return of stands with song references in the JoJo lands, or who knows, probably is Awakening the Centuries. But despite Mitsuba's stand being so cryptic in its name scheme, the stand itself is really cool, and Mitsuba is a great character. In fact, she's one of the only moms in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure who is pretty supportive. So how about you watch this video of mine where I rank all of the moms in Jojolion and see where I rank Mitsuba herself.